I feel so good today. It's like almost like a miracle has happened too. That's historic, I think, for Native women in general. Because when this first happened, I never thought I would tell my story to anybody. I figured it would be a secret till I die. But to actually be here today and share this story with the president, you know, and all of our the people in the presence, I guess, our advocates, our Native sisters, but I think also for our silence victims, those who have died, suicide, addiction, incarceration. You know, what could we have said to that silence victim? Because they're all in here right now. Every spirit is in here. So I'm stunned, I'm happy.
I just want to thank the National Congress of American Indians for all of the help that they've committed to us, women of domestic violence, and women in our communities, and our children, and the families. So I just want to raise my hands and say seed from all of us near and far, all of our tribal people across the nation. Today is a successful day, a day to celebrate, and I know we have a lot of work ahead of us, but I also know we're very committed that we stand together, and when we stand together, things happen, and right now we are the leaders in this country, as we should be, so that's an exciting time for me. I want to thank President Obama, Vice President, and all of Congress who supported us and helped us to restore our inherent sovereignty, so thank you.
I want to begin with Juana. If you can talk about the significance of this act, the Violence Against Women Act, for Native American women. If you could follow up on the story we just heard.
Oh my gosh, being in that room listening to her, and I've known Diane for a few years now, and hearing her story the first time, knew that we had to make a difference. And the women across this country, as allies, the National Task Force and our tribal women, we knew every breath, every step we made was to make sure that we could affect change to protect our Native women who chose to be in relationship with non-Native spouses and protect them from the violence that we did not know was happening on such a scale until we began to listen and hear. And we realized we had to change the law so that they could be protected with just protection orders and the right for our tribal police to come in and remove them and to alleviate the harm and the pain that was being caused. The impact, you could hear it in the room, but it was palatable. The rhythm of the heart was so strong of the women in this nation that when we breathe out the Lulus that you sound when you're excited and you praise Creator's will that this has been done in a good way.
Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa was one of 22 Republicans who voted against the Violence Against Women Act reauthorization bill when it passed in the Senate. He generated controversy, including a letter of condemnation from your task force, Juana, when he explained his reasoning at an Iowa town hall meeting.
You get non-Indians going into a reservation and violating a woman. They need to be prosecuted. They aren't prosecuted. So the idea behind this bill is we'll try them in tribal court. But under the laws of our land, you've got to have a jury that is a reflection of society as a whole. And on an Indian reservation, it's going to be made up of Indians, right? So the non-Indian doesn't get a fair trial.
That was Republican Senator Chuck Grassley. Some Republicans had used a constitutional argument to object to the expansion of protections for Native American women. This is Republican Senator John Cornyn of Texas speaking against the expansion on the Senate floor last month.
This is a bill that could do so much good in the battle for victims' rights, but unfortunately it's being held hostage by a single provision that would take away fundamental constitutional rights for certain American citizens. And for what? For what? In order to satisfy the unconstitutional demands of special interests.
Juana Mahal-Duxon, your response.
There's a couple of reasons. We took a letter to Grassley to let him know that our selection that we would use to help and a prosecution would be fair, that the community we come from, by nature of the fact that we have intermarried with our non-Indian partners, they would be a part of that. Plus our community. We have plans to, because we live side by side with non-Indian communities throughout Indian country, as well as our tribal groups within our territories. There's a natural blend of coexisting together that it seems logical and sensible that we would somehow have the same kind of faith, same kind of trust to give fair and just decisions in terms of a case. We also know that there's an appeal system in it, that they could choose to go to a federal court, but there's a process. In terms of what was said of the unconstitutional piece, it's very hard to realize that inside the Constitution itself, we exist. We're part of the Founding Fathers' language of this country, and our relationship with them is sovereign to sovereign, or essentially government to government. And in that relationship, if you don't know that, and if you're not taught that, you just don't know. And you can't get angry at what they don't know, but you can try to help them to understand that it isn't unconstitutional. We even have the Indian Civil Rights Act, which mirrors several provisions that are in the Civil Rights Act that allow, as you know, the protections for in a case where prosecution and defendant, that this outline is in there, that we wouldn't deviate from it just because we now have this opportunity. It only seems logical that the safety and wellness of any society would be given at least fair measure to affect change for that kind of protection. And this affords that. And I understand, I'll tell you again, I understand if they didn't know, the way that they do know is because they didn't learn how the Constitution were a part of it.